Hello, everyone. Welcome and happy Latinx Heritage Month. I'm Carly Ann with the Parsons Entrepreneur Academy. Thank you for joining us for another one of our monthly office hour series where we invite successful and inspiring entrepreneurs and leaders to share their stories and the lessons they've learned along the way. For anyone who's joining us for the first time, Parsons Entrepreneur Academy is a platform that empowers creative entrepreneurs like yourself to build sustainable businesses around your art. And we do this through our three pillars that include mentoring, training, and community. You can learn more by visiting parsonsentrepreneur.com and stick around, stay tuned until the end. We will be giving away or offering a 50% discount code to one of our courses, which will be our Funding Your Creative Business course. So stick around and we will give you that information at the end. All right, so let's jump into the fun stuff. So today I'm very excited to be joined by Brittany Chavez, who is the founder of Shop Latinx, which is a venture-backed marketplace that offers the best beauty, skincare, apparel, and lifestyle products to the fastest growing market in the US, Millennial and Gen Z Latinas. She is a cultural and marketing expert who takes pride in her Guatemalan and Nicaraguan heritage, and who also understands the nuances of being a cultural Latina in the US. The marketplace has over 600 products from over 15 women of color and values-driven brands, and plans to expand to over 300 brands and 50,000 products next year. Wow. Hi, Brittany. Thank you so much for joining us.
So happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
It's a pleasure. So let's hear about your background and what led up to you starting this platform.
Oh my goodness. There's so much that led up to where Shop Latinx is today. It's been like a 5-year long journey, but I think long story short, in 2016, I was, sorry, I'm a little shy, but in 2016, it was during the height of the presidential election. I didn't see any brands or e-commerce sites or any platforms that really uplifted Latinx-owned businesses. So I kind of took matters into my own hands, and with that, I created the Shop Latinx Instagram. That grew into like an actual community, that spanned into the tens of thousands. And I think over time, I realized that my focus and my passion really lies in this, really understanding the nuances of this multicultural Gen Z and young millennial Latina. For me, I grew up shopping at like Urban Outfitters. I was really into the everyday trends, or just emerging trends, music, lifestyle, culture. I would read, Lucky magazine back in the day before they shut down, or like Complex magazine. I was an Internet Vibe magazine, Interscope. So again, I really understood the nuances, and especially me being a Latina, and not being, and being Central American, and making that my superpower, my like differentiator. I also saw this opportunity that, I began to curate the feed and like the types of products that I was showcasing, like not only are they now Latinx, now, now this is trend forward, and this is something that a 21-year-old Puerto Rican woman from who's Dominican can also resonate with and would purchase, and I saw this opportunity to then create a marketplace. And especially during this time, as I was running the Instagram account, I was kind of like working for myself as like an Uber driver and just like taking on random gigs. I just knew that I wasn't going to figure out what I wanted to do with my life, working in corporate. And if I got to hustle and like work 14 hours a day, so be it. If I have to pitch to passengers in my car and tell them to follow me, I'll do it. And it just really put fire in my ass to like figure it out, So fast forward to where I am now, I went from just running an Instagram account to now having a team and like employing 4 really dope Latinx creatives to help me, grow this company. And to get into the market. Okay, like give me like 30 more seconds. So then I created this Instagram account, saw this opportunity to create a marketplace. People were loving the feed. And I was like, well, what if I created this platform where then people can shop from the feed? And then everyone wins, because then I can also employ myself and then have and then I can eat. And then we have a company that employs Latinx, showcases Latinx for Latinx. So we all win together. And I think I just have this one track mind. If I want to get something, I will do what it takes to make that happen. I knew that it would require me to venture into tech and the tech ecosystem and and if I don't know, I'm going to figure it out through these accelerator programs. And I did. I got into 2. I listened to podcasts of like what it takes to run a startup, and then one of the people that were on the podcast, I said that he was going to invest in me one day, and then 2 years later he did. So that's kind of how I got here. I'm gonna write a memoir one day, and it's gonna be good.
The startup life. No, but that's such an amazing story. It's always interesting hearing the origin story of different founders. It shows that there isn't one set way to make it, and it's super inspiring that you saw the realities of wanting to choose to do a job or a gig that was going to keep your mind free to actually focus and dig into your business. So I want to before we elaborate more on some of the things that you brought up with the accelerator and your team and stuff, would love for you to talk a bit more about the types of brands and products that are on the platform. And I would also love to hear, like what was the process like of, deciding which products? How did you go about curating, deciding what would go on the platform?
Yeah. So right now, I think it's best for companies to start small and be known for one thing than to be known for all the things and then realize, damn, I should have scaled it back, or like, damn, only if I took my time, or like, what if, I wish I was more intentional, before, I think that sometimes people jump into businesses with the best of intentions and the best of hearts, trying to be everything for everyone, and I think with Shop Latinx, I knew I just needed to take my time and be known as a platform that focuses on like beauty and fashion and lifestyle before we bring on food. I know there's like amazing food products, or like, art, which that's something that we want to delve into. So I think we have around, 11 brands in the marketplace currently. And mind you, we've been around for a while, but that was done with intention, right? These were brands that whose products we loved. They're all either Latina or women of color owned. They're products that really resonate with this multicultural consumer. Like, for example, we have this brand called Baby Trust. They're Black and Asian owned, and they're just like little tools to like brush on your baby hairs. And I use it every morning. And then there's this other brand called Gnarly Beauty. And she's Afro-Latina owned from the Bronx. And she sells this like clear lip gloss. And every morning, like, I'm not sure if you can see, but I'll like put the lip gloss on my eyebrows and then use the Baby Trust to like brush my eyebrows up so they look fuller. But I think that they're just all products that like me and the team really love. And then we get that validation when we post it and then the customers purchase it, and these are also brand owners that know that like we're testing, we're iterating, and they're brands that are willing to give us feedback and really grow with us. And I think what we also look for is like, where do you want to be in 6 years? Like, how do you envision the growth of your company? Because again, we are venture backed and we do have goals. So we want to make sure that like it's the right fit on both ends, or like, what is it that you need as a company and how can Shop Latinx help you? I think we want it to be mutually beneficial. And in the next month, there's so many announcements, but yeah, we're going to have a lot more brands in the marketplace. And they're going to be like top-notch brands that are also Latina owned. So I'm really excited about that.
That's amazing. So let's talk about, we'd love to hear more about your journey building out your team. You mentioned that you have a team of 4. All right, so what was your experience like getting to a team of 4 from the beginning until now?
Yeah, I mean, one, it's a journey. Like, hiring is really hard, and I think one of the biggest lessons is, well, if you're a solo founder looking to get a co-founder, or one, getting a co-founder, actually, that's a whole nother story. But I think
we can get a
hire knowing that sometimes it's not always a fit, and like that is okay. Like, we're all learning and growing together. And my team, this is the most confident I've ever been about the team that I have. And I think, like, don't look for, well, yes, I think that it needs to be like, everyone on my team is so passionate, like, and they're passionate not only about what they do, but like what and who they're doing it for. And I think that's what puts the fire in them to like be creative or to go like above and beyond, or to feel like a sense of ownership and pride in what they do. I think anyone, there's social media managers and marketers and product managers, they come a dime a dozen and they're all so talented and they all bring different qualities to the table. However, the one that you're meant to work with is the one who has the same passion as you do, especially when you're an early founder, or like your company's early, like early stage. And for startups especially, because everyone's wearing multiple hats and playing multiple roles. And for me, I think what I really value is like feedback. Everyone on the team, we all challenge one another. I'll say something and then they'll be like, no, like, we don't think that's a good idea, or like, look at it from this perspective, or Brittany, like, we're going to put our foot down and not do this, or like, I'll do it, and it's just, what I love about going to work is the people that I work with and just how collaborative and comfortable we are with one another, but in a way that's like respectful, but also like, I'm very like, okay, so what is, we'll be on a call and I'm like, so what are the takeaways? Like, what are the next action items? What are the steps? If I don't understand, I will ask questions until I get clarity, you know what I mean? And then we're all on the same page. And I feel like I've really fostered that environment of like collaboration and just clarity, and like, so now what? That now what mentality. And I think everyone on my team's on game, and like, people are really surprised that we're just such a small team because of like the content that we put out or the design that we put out. And for me, I'm just a big stickler on like, not stickler, but like, everything should be done with intention, from our captions on Instagram to the customer experience from when they reach the homepage to when they check out, like, I make sure that everything is optimized and really catered to this consumer in a way that hasn't been done before, especially for this Latina consumer.
Amazing. You brought up the term solo founder, which you're technically a solo founder in terms of the owner. Can you talk about what it was like navigating as a solo founder in the beginning, and what are some of the key lessons that you can impart to people watching? Because we do have a lot of solo founders or people who are building on their own in our community.
Yes, that's a great question. And that is one of the biggest lessons that I've learned in the last 4 years is, one, I'm meant to be a solo founder. You know, I meant to be a solo founder, and I think that it took me years to really own that and realize that once I started to love myself more and come into my own power and build that confidence. And there was a year where I did have a co-founder, and I feel like it became really codependent, and especially because we became co-founders during the pandemic. And I felt like I needed them and I needed to hide behind them because I didn't know what I was doing. When in fact, I didn't give myself enough credit for how far I've come and how far my business has come. But I felt like because they came from corporate or because they knew how to, you know, write an email better than me, that like I needed to hide behind them because like I just don't know what I'm doing and no one would believe me. But it was all, it just boiled down to like I didn't believe myself and I needed to work on that, you know. And now that I do, I'll never get a co-founder again, you know. And it's just, you know, I think some people are just better off single, you know, same, you know, but it's been hard, you know, especially when I'm, you know, I was a solo founder running it by myself. And then, you know, working with people who weren't as maybe passionate, or like, you know, I had high expectations from them when I shouldn't have. But now, I mean, I feel great. I feel so happy that I've come to this point where like, I know that I can do it. And if I don't know how to do it, I have a team that can help me do it, you know, or I'll always figure it out.
Well, that's great that you like set your own goal that works for you, like in your own like sort of like life design in a sense.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
so like speaking of, you know, support systems, and that ties into helping to support you on this journey. There's you emphasize a lot about the importance of this skill of community building or networking that you have. Can you talk about that a bit more, and how you approached community building, and tell us, you know, what were the ways that it helped to push you and Shop Latinx forward?
Yes. Community building. Well, one, I'll preface this with, you can't help others. You got to help yourself first. You know what I mean? And I think for me, understanding that yes, Shop Latinx is its own entity, but is also an extension of me. And if I'm not in my optimal, if I'm not in my optimal state of just being, then if I'm not putting myself in a position to thrive, how can I expect this company to thrive? Especially when I'm the founder of it. You know, I'm the creative director behind it. I'm the CEO. So one, I can't emphasize enough how much therapy has helped me with community building, you know, and like building key relationships and, you know, showing up for people, you know. And there are times where like I've been really depressed and I couldn't show up for people or be that community builder because I was dealing with my own stuff. So I think for me, well, one, you know, I've really dedicated the last 4 years to really understanding this consumer, you know, again. And I think on top of it, the micro communities, you know, like there's this group called like OKC Latinas, and they're like a group of Latinas in Oklahoma City, you know, or like there's so many like vegan Latinas, or like, you know, Latinx activists, poets, you know. And I just, to me, I genuinely am curious to know more, and like I want to befriend you because I think what you're doing is so cool. And then it just becomes something bigger, you know. And Shop Latinx, aside from the e-commerce element, yeah, like that is our value proposition. You know, Target can sell the exact brands as Shop Latinx can, but we have that heart and soul that cannot be bought, you know. And that just comes from everyone on the team, you know, being Latinx, and for us being storytellers, you know. Shop Latinx, we have really big plans that when it comes to like editorial and like brand partnerships, that we always want to tell the stories of people from our communities and the people that are in the marketplace, or even us, like, what our team dynamic is behind the scenes. Because even when we talk about it internally, like we get really emotional about like what it is that we're building, and I think that when we display that authentically, is when community just grows authentically with us. So.
Well, thank you for sharing that. And like going off of you mentioned a support system before and how important going to therapy was. Can we also talk about other pillars like mentorship and how did you go about cultivating your initial like mentor relationships, and how do you continue to keep them informed or keep that mentor network together?
Yeah. So I started Shop Latinx in Los Angeles, and there is a booming community of Latinas and women of color that are just running shit, So people always say that the founder journey is really lonely, and I don't think I've really ever experienced that. Maybe a little bit in the pandemic. But I've always had someone to rely on, like I know you had like Julissa of Rizos Curls, like that's been one of my best friends since like high school. So I've always surrounded myself with like really dope women. And then someone asked earlier about like podcasts, like if I didn't have anyone to talk to, or if I didn't, I would create mentors in my mind and then go like listen to them or read their books, and I think for so long, like even when I was little, for me, my mentor was like Oprah and Lisa Ling. So I would get home at 3. My grandma would give me my beans and rice in a bowl on a tray on the bed, and I'd put on my Oprah, and like she was my mentor, and granted it's unconventional, and granted like I've never spoken to her in real life, but like I've gained so much wisdom from her, and that came from like me seeking out information, so anything can be your mentor, books, music. And I think now I do have, like I said, so the podcast I was talking about, I believe it's called The Startup. That one of my investors is one of my now investors was a part of, and that's when they would like a founder would pitch, and then they give feedback, and then sometimes it's kind of like Shark Tank, but less like all the less Hollywood, and it was real, and now he and I have like bi-weekly investor calls. So even for me, there's a higher sense of accountability to keep my mentors in the loop because they're also financially invested. But yeah, now I'm like, and even that person, right? I had a question regarding the marketplace model, and now he's like, oh, one of my good friends is the co-founder of Poshmark. I'm going to connect you via email, and my mentor, it's like leveled up, or someone like, oh, the founder of Daily Harvest wants to talk to you, Brittany, and give you some feedback on something that she noticed when shopping in your site. She's going to call you. Like, what?
Wow.
I had a question regarding like something financial, and I got connected to the former chief financial officer of PayPal. Like, that's so crazy.
That's
but
amazing.
Yeah, I mean, this is my life now. So, and I think I'm also really big on giving back. I think that like that reciprocity of energy comes back to you tenfold and has come back to me tenfold, so like I love, sharing my experience as a founder, even here, or like, talking to people who want to create marketplaces or feel stuck. And I think because of that, like, is the more rewarded I am on all fronts.
That's amazing. I feel like you gave like 2 or 3 different levels of mentorship. So if you don't have like actual like real people like in your circle yet, go out and listen to podcasts, like follow people who you admire, and then you did the work, and those awesome connections and mentors came to you. That's amazing.
Yes, and one thing I will say is do not use not having a mentor as a crutch. Do not do it. Don't do it. You just got to do it. Not like, oh, that it just hurts my soul. And people are like, yeah, I want to do this, but like I just need a mentor. I just need someone to talk to. Like, go on YouTube. You know, people are like making NFTs and on crypto, doing God knows what, because I don't know, but like are millionaires because of YouTube. You know, or like because they're a part of these subreddit communities. I don't know. You know, so don't use not having a mentor or not having a teacher. Don't let that stop you from trying or researching.
Amazing. So I want to backtrack to you mentioned being a part of an accelerator before. I would love to hear more about your funding journey and the different steps in that. So
Yeah.
how did you go about funding the business at the beginning, and what did that evolution look like up until now that you're venture backed?
Okay, so the venture backed has to stay between us until a couple weeks from now because we're gonna do a big announcement. So sorry, where I got these Yelp sent me these really bomb like Mexican candies. They're like Skittles dipped in Chile. Sorry, I just had to eat
Ooh.
one.
That was really good.
So the first 3 years of Shop Latinx was all funded by me and any money I was getting from Uber. Driving. I didn't work at Uber. I was a driver. I was making like maybe $500, $600 a week. So it wasn't much. But I remember I used that to pay a designer at the time a stipend, and I was just running everything. And then it wasn't until I got into my second accelerator called Techstars, their global accelerator program, that we got our first initial investment of $120,000. Techstars trains you and sets you up to start raising venture capital. So you're in that program with the intention that you're going to raise and go into what they call a pre-seed round. So pre-seed is typically where founders raise anywhere from 500,000 to upwards of like 1 million, 1.5 million. But you need to have like a pitch deck and a whole bunch of words that is just jargon, but you need a lot of because now you're taking people's money in exchange for equity. So learn all about that. What a safe is compared to what a convertible note is. You need to learn about equity and all this stuff. So I mean, it started off with me having no money. I just moved to Portland 3 months ago, but I was living in a tiny 1-bedroom in Boyle Heights. So it started with really humble beginnings, and it just grew off the strength of me showing up for people and building this community. And what's crazy is that investors aren't invested. They're invested in the potential growth, in the potential of Shop Latinx. When you raise venture capital, you're raising money, and people are putting in money because they think you're going to be the next Uber or Amazon or, VC funding isn't for a lifestyle business. They really believe that Shop Latinx has the potential to be a unicorn company, which is like a multi-billion-dollar business. And they're not putting in money because of the revenue that we're making today. You know what I mean? Like, that's great. It's this community that's in value, of value, and I think because we're building it, like I said, step by step, brick by brick, very intentionally, in a way that, a lot of these big corporations aren't. Like, that is the value, and that is what, and so our goal is to increase that market size and, so that we can keep growing as a company and hiring more Latinx to come on board.
All right. I mean, was that always your goal to turn this into a company that qualifies for venture capital and scales really big? Or did you start out with different intentions? And if you did, like what made you decide that this was the type of company that you wanted to build?
Yeah, I think I never, like, even from a kid, I knew I wanted to do something. I knew I was going to be great. Even though I didn't feel it, I think deep down I always knew, like in my gut, I was going to be something really big, you know? And I feel like, I don't know, like sometimes we're too humble. Like, yeah, my goal, you know what I mean? Especially with the background that I came from, like, yeah, I want to have money. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't until earlier this year that I literally spent the day thinking, like ideating, and I'm like, yo, I've never had the freedom of thought. Like, I've never had the freedom to just think, because for 30 years I've been in survival mode, or like, oh my God, like I have to drive so that I can make $85 to pay this light bill, or else it's going to cut off next week. But like, you know what I mean? Like, I've always been in that mode. And I think now I'm finally in a place for the first time ever in my life where I get to build comfortably. You know what I mean? Like, do you see this tree? You know, like what
Yeah.
so yeah, I think I want this for everyone, and to be the conduit that gets to provide that life to so many incredible, talented Latinx and people of color. Like, yeah, I want us to be a very big company, you know? And I think when I first started Shop Latinx, there were so many times where like my mom would be like, you know, get a full-time job. Just, you know, she was worried, you know, like my last panic attack was because I couldn't pay rent. And so she was telling me like, get a full-time job, you know, you'll get benefits. But I was just like, there's something about this fucking Instagram. It's going to take me places, you know, and it's going to be really big. So even though I didn't know what it was just in that moment, I knew deep down that like, what this is going to bring me and so many people wealth and freedom. And yeah, so that's the goal. It's only up from here, for real.
Amazing. So I'm curious now, because you just brought up your mom. As all moms, they care about us, so they're always gonna try to like steer us into the safest path. Like, what are ways? Because I'm sure a lot of people might have experienced this. It might not be from a parent, it could be from other people around, because they have the best intentions. But what did you do, or like, what was your grounding practice to, you know, like keep you inspired to like move in the direction that, you know, that you're on, and not like sort of like block that out?
I've always done what I wanted to do. I've always been very unconventional. And I feel like I can't explain it. Like, I feel guided almost. Like, I feel like I'm steering the ship, and I just took on the role to just, I think I'm headed in the direction that I'm meant to be in. And I think I just follow my intuition, you know, and I'm a strong believer in sometimes when you get anxiety, it's because you're not listening to your intuition, and you're pushing it under the rug so that you can be, you know, and you end up being a people pleaser and like suppressing your intuition, you know. And I think as someone who has lived with anxiety, like even, you know, like even the last couple months, I was like, this is TMI, but like this is such a good example of like, to not get swayed, you know. Like, I'm a serial relation. Like, I get in these like these marriages. Like, I don't know how to date. It's like either we're dating and we were married, or we're not. And I get in these like mini marriages, and I feel like I just moved to Portland. I was dating someone, and I like really needed to focus on Shop Latinx, and like I really like this person, but I had really bad anxiety, you know. And finally, like, it was just like I just needed to end it. But it wasn't them. I just needed to do it because I needed to focus on my company. And then when I did it, my anxiety went away. And then in the last week was the most the most progress I've made in months. So many, and then the blessings just came and started falling. Like, they were just like, she listened. When you listen to your intuition, I feel like the more rewarded you are. So, like, you cleared the path, and then it was just like me holding a basket, like watching the blessings just jump in, come in the basket, and I think now I know, I feel like I just unlocked the code. We're like, okay, so all I need to do is just listen to my gut, make good decisions, be informed, ask all the questions, and it will come. And so I think I operate with this sense of like trust in the universe, and I surround myself with good people. I have like no drama in my life, and all my friends are founders and really dope creatives. And I just think that I'm a good person. So I think everything in my life is good. Mm-hmm. And it's through therapy, like I said, and having a good relationship with my mom, and and just listening to myself.
Amazing. That's so inspiring. So I think this there's so much entrepreneurship it's stressful, right? There's so much, a lot of it is mental and keeping yourself grounded in order to do these things. So I really appreciate you being vulnerable and sharing all of these things, because a lot of people go through it. They may not talk about it, but it's really helpful to hear it from someone who's out there and doing it and doing well. So this is a good segue into, top 3 lessons that you would impart on an early stage entrepreneur or founder.
I think like seek answers. That's one. You know what I mean? Like, I think if you don't know, like, figure it out. Like, just do it. Like, it sounds so cliche, but it's like, I think sometimes we were so scared, so we live in this like perpetual state of fear. And so it's like, you just need to go out there and just try, do it, see if it, you know what I mean? Like, for me, I'm always like, if I don't understand, like, by the end of this call, like, I will understand. You know what I mean? Sorry if y'all have to bear with me, and I'm sorry I'm asking this, but like, I will that's my goal. So I think just seek the answers. That's 1. 2, surround yourself with good people, because they will drain you, and you don't think that they're affecting you, but they're affecting you. And if you're dating someone that's just if you have anxiety around someone, listen to that and get them far away from you, because they're blocking your blessings. And you are so blessed, but it's just but you're not seeing the rewards or the blessings come, because there's something in the way. And it could be someone, it could be your environment. Maybe you need to move. Maybe you need to rearrange your furniture, but there's something there that's blocking you from your blessings, and you need to make room for the blessings. Okay. 3, seek joy. I think people take life so seriously, and life is meant to, you're meant to have fun in this lifetime, like, I think for me, Shop Latinx brings me joy, and I have so much fun building and talking to my team. And some days are stressful, but if it doesn't bring you joy, then don't do it. If it doesn't light that spark within you, don't do it. Yeah. So those are my 3.
All right. Well, going back to your mission, can you just, talk about why it's important? Like, let's talk a bit about the landscape of entrepreneurship and the Latinx community. Mm-hmm. And, from your perspective, like, tell everyone why it's important for people to support Latinx businesses.
Hmm. I should have the answer to this because I'm the founder of Shop Latinx, but I think like my immediate is like because it just is. And like you're doing, I mean, it hurts. I'm just like, it just is like, and I think if you, I guess I'm thinking from like even like a corporation level, like targeting Latinx, like if you're not doing that, then you're just doing a disservice to yourself because like we didn't really need y'all anyway, and we can be resourceful and support ourselves together within. And I think, yeah, I mean, it's important to support. I think overall, it's just important to shop with your intentions, right? So like Latinx, it's such a vast term, and there's so many different types of Latinx with many different values, you know, and many different values in ethos. You know, you have conservative Hispanics down to those who use the word Latinx, and we at Shop Latinx, we are focused on those who identify as Shop Latinx and that don't write think pieces on why Latinx is a bad term. We're focused on a certain segment within the Hispanic / Latinx community. And I think it's important to support us because, I mean, I don't know. I guess it just is. And I think, I don't know. I don't know why I'm getting choked up at this, but yeah, I think, I know why I do it, you know. I can't, I don't know.
You just do. And
I just do.
Yeah.
It's just, I can't, it's like, you know, like what's understood, like I just know, you know, it's like someone asking me like, why do I wash my hands after I use the restroom? It's just like, because I just do it. Like it's within me to do that. You know, I don't know. I can't prove to other people why they should. Just know that you should because it's the thing to do. Catch up.
I hear that. I hear that. Belen says, I want to hug you. Looking at the comments coming up at the bottom. So what's your ultimate vision as an entrepreneur? Like where do you see yourself or where do you want to see yourself in 5 years? We'll do 5 and not 10 is far away. So we'll do 5.
Well, 5, well, I think 10, because I feel like I don't know where I'm going to be in 5 years, but I do know where I'm going to be in 10 years. So in 10 years, Shop Latinx will have IPO'd, which means it will have gone public. Mm-hmm. Okay.
I'm gonna look out for that and buy some stuff.
Yeah. You'll see me with my mom and my stepdad and my 2 brothers ringing that bell. Okay. And so we'll be a publicly traded company that everyone from our community can purchase stock from. And I see such a big potential for us to be like a huge media and e-commerce conglomerate that really focuses on telling the stories of Latinidad in a way that's never been done before. I can see us, you know, everything from doing, I don't know, something in like Guatemala to having a tent at Coachella. You know what I mean? Like I want to merge the arts, and there's just so much I want to do creatively, and I'm just so happy that like I can do it through Shop Latinx. And then as for me in 10 years, I want to be a beekeeper. And
is that like a childhood aspiration? Like I'm curious.
Exactly. I want to be a beekeeper, and I want to have a farm, and I'm going to have a lot of dogs and animals, and I won't have kids, and I won't be married. I'm just going to be living my best life.
All right. Well, the vision sounds amazing. We'll be looking out, rooting for your success and the IPO and all of the grand things.
Yes. You heard it here first.
All right. So I'm gonna give the audience the opportunity to ask their questions. They've been lively. People have been putting up comments and cheering along. Before we jump into that, I just want to tell everyone, put your questions in the comments section on YouTube Live, and when they come up on screen, Brittany, I'll read them, and you can respond. And also, in the meantime, we're going to drop a code that you can use to get 50% off how to fund your creative business course. It'll demystify some of the terms that Brittany mentioned, such as term sheets and stuff. So look out for that and check it out. All right. So the code is GROW. It's GROW. So look out for that and the link to that page. All right. So we'll take some questions.
Wow, they were lively up until the questions portion.
Drop names of the podcasts, please, so we can learn to
earlier. I haven't listened to podcasts in a very long time, but I did really like How I Built This. Hosted by Guy Raz and NPR. The Startup Podcast with Charles Hudson. That's all I can really think of.
Okay. Do you have any favorite books that you would recommend or share?
Not really. I think, so I talked to my therapist, and so I'm banned from reading self-help books because I feel like, so I really just like fiction or biographies or like memoirs. I did read Crying in H Mart. I'm not sure if you've heard of that book. It's really good. She's the lead singer of Japanese Breakfast. I'm Michelle, I forget her last name. Really good book.
Wait, say the name again.
Crying in H Mart.
Okay.
I think for me, what I love is books with really good storytelling elements, because I think instead of reading books about marketing and how to, I want to see it being done. Because again, it's for me, it's okay, so how do you do it? Show me. And I think I like reading books that show me how it's done. So yeah, Michelle. So Crying in H Mart, she knows, Hannah knows. It's just she shows me how it's done. She shows me how to evoke emotion. I learn new words. I see what brings forth me crying, and then that I take that and then we use that in our captions or our blog posts or the way that we describe products, So that's what I'm into. I read some of Shoe Dog by Phil Knight, great stuff, The Body Keeps the Score, read some of it, but I just need to, that's it.
All right. So, okay, we have a question. About to launch my lifestyle goods with my artwork. What do you think is the best way to get word of mouth out there? Certain platform, ?
I don't think there's any. Don't be dependent on a platform to boost your product. I think it's up to you to build a community, right? So it's if you create a website on WooCommerce or Shopify, you can't expect Shopify to give you the sales that you're looking for. That's something that you need to do yourself, and that comes with trial and error, and every company's so different. the best way to get word of mouth out there is, maybe I would say like Instagram's the new online portfolio. I mean, that's how I did it. So that's like a high level answer.
How do you recharge your energy and keep from burning out?
Therapy and solitude. I love hanging out with myself. I think that I try to be extroverted and I try to hang out with people all the time, but that's just not who I am. Mm-hmm. And I've grown to a place where like I just really love myself and I have the best dog ever and a very comfortable home in bed that I just like being alone, and that's what helps me.
How do you break up your how do you break up your days to like carve time for your solitude that's work free, or does that exist yet?
Well, it's hard because I work from home. It's hard because I work from home. But I think in the morning I have a routine where like I wake up, I walk my dog, come home, I take a bath, I light candles, I clean. I'll listen to music. I'll listen to like jazz or like Sade. And then, in the middle of the day, I'll try to sneak a nap in. And then and Saturdays are also my days where like I do not look at my laptop. Like I do not. And that's a day where like I'll go to the farmer's market. I'll grab dinner with a friend, so yeah, that's what helps me.
Thank you. All right. Thank you for sharing. Do you have any advice on how to take your business to the next level, to be a part of marketplaces like Shop Latinx? Any keynotes?
Yeah, that's a great question. And also, y'all have a really cute store, La Dulce Vintage. I've like been on their page a few times. For one, Shop Latinx. So right now, the brands that we carry, they have specific products that they always carry, and with a certain amount of, there's like an inventory threshold that we're looking for. Especially if like we're gonna put you in our emails, like we're gonna only post products that have enough inventory that could be sold. And I know that could be really hard with one-off pieces. And also too, I'm sure this is just an assumption, and there's so many amazing vintage stores that are like brick and mortars that are like Depop stores. But I will also know, like even with Sophia Amoroso, right? And like her what Nasty Gal was in the beginning was it was a vintage clothing line, and then it grew into a fashion brand and a marketplace of fast fashion products, but there were still products that she had a lot of inventory of. So I think maybe even if you created like some staple pieces that you could market, that would probably help you and your brand, so that customers know like, okay, this is where I can get this specific shirt. Because I know running a vintage store, it's like running a cafe, right? Like, well, I have friends that run cafes in Portland, and they're just like, just feels like it just never ends, because you're always having to source and then take photos, and it's a new product instead of just taking photos of this one product that you can just constantly sell. Does that make sense? I hope that helps, but I think having like a few staple products will help, maybe.
All right, for brands, or if there are people who have brands that might be a good fit for the platform, how does that process work?
Yeah, so we do have brand applications on the footer of our website. So if you go on shoplatinx.com, scroll down to the footer, it says brand application, and then it'll bring you to a type form, and you can see all of the types of questions that we have, and basically some criteria of like what we're looking for. You'll see. Oh, that's a great question. How did I get so many great brand partnerships? Is because we have great branding. You know what I mean? So again, like putting the brands don't come to like, brands are going to reach out to you when it's mutually beneficial. You know what I mean? So brands want to target us, or because we have the target demographic that they have been trying to tap into, but maybe they're like, well, let's just partner with Shop Latinx because they already have this market and their values and their look is aligned with ours because it's very Gen Z, yada, yada, you know? So I think that's why branding, down from copy to punctuation to the emojis you use when you respond to comments, you know, to the types of photos you use in the lookbook, down to the font, like the font type, you know, like all of that matters because someone's watching. You know, it's like if Shop Latinx was a marketplace, but we still use the same logo from when we first started, we didn't put anything into design, why would brands want to be a part of our marketplace? Because we don't make them look any better. You know, why would a brand who generates X amount of volume, it is in Nordstrom, why would they want it? What is the value prop of them being in the Shop Latinx marketplace if we don't, you know, have good branding or make them look more elevated? You know, it's not a good opportunity for them. So that's how we get it. And then we just signed on with 3 weeks ago, we signed to a PR agency. So, I mean, hopefully that will give us bigger brand partnerships, but it's all because of the branding and the brand in the market. Yeah.
What's the best way to deal with self-doubt and imposter syndrome?
I was just going to say, like, tell yourself, this sounds really woo-woo, but you shape your own reality, you know? So you dictate your own reality. Whatever you say something is, it is, you know? Like, I can say this drink is whack and then it'll taste whack to me. This is like a stupid example, but like if you tell yourself you can't do it, then you can't do it. Then it ends right there. You know what I mean? And then that is the reality that you live with. That's your reality. You can't do it, you know? But I think for me, no matter how hard, like I tell myself I'm going to do it, I'm going to figure it out, and then I'm going to do it. I don't know. You just have to believe it, you know? And again, energy, like just surround yourself with good people and people who will uplift you. You also have to do it to yourself and believe that within yourself. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. I hope that helped. But you dictate your own reality and you can do anything. That's literally that is a law, like that is a universal law. You know what I mean? Like that is baseline, or like earth politics is you dictate your own reality, you know? Everything's perspective.
How did you find the first Latinx entrepreneur creative to bring on to Shop Latinx?
I mean, on the marketplace, I think they were just all my friends. Like everyone, you know, I had grown such a great relationship with so many brand owners, and we were all kind of growing together. That, you know, I asked them to be on the marketplace, and it was kind of like a spit and shake kind of like agreement. And then they just came on, and it was kind of simple as that. Julissa Rizzo's Curls was the first. And I think it was Lala Romero of Belladonna. I'm not sure if you've heard of them, but she was like the first ever like article we did like back in 2017 when we were writing. And she, yeah, like they were just all my friends. I don't
know. sometimes that's how it starts.
Yeah, friendships.
So is there this is like one last question from me. Like I'm curious, like now you have this platform that's this website that everyone sees, but it didn't start that way, obviously. What are some tips that you have, or the top tip that you have for anyone trying to build a platform? What should they look out for or be aware of, in terms of building a platform? Because there are different steps in between. Like you didn't just like pop up with the website. Wasn't the first thing that like came out of the idea. There were steps.
Yeah. So 3 words: seek validation first. So the marketplace that is today and what it looks like today and everything is all, you know, we've been talking to this consumer for years, you know, and I think sometimes people jump to start a business or jump to do something without even asking the world or their consumer if that's something that they even wanted or was looking for or would purchase, you know, and you can't rely on your friends to give you feedback, that the feedback that you need. And then sometimes they will say, yeah, do it. And then they just never end up buying anyway. So then you're kind of stuck in a rut. And then in terms of building a platform, I mean, it depends, you know, marketplaces are not cheap. So I would be really sad had I decided to build a marketplace and then realized that there wasn't a need for a marketplace, but I felt confident putting money into building a marketplace because we had this validation that we've been gathering for the last, you know, 2.5, 3 years. So I think start small, you know, even if it's a Google, what is it, like a type form or Google questionnaire, you know what I mean? Focus groups, seeing if it's already been done before. Like, just do your research before deciding to build a platform, because that's not smart. And then also too, if you build a platform, did you build a community that's going to go onto the platform? And then also too, you know, like we have a marketplace. So marketplaces are two-sided. You have your vendors and then you have the consumers, right? So now we have you can't have the vendors without the consumers, and you can't have the consumers without the vendors. So for us, it's even more tricky. There had to be like double the validation, right? Like, you know, do vendors even want to do, like, asking so many questions and getting them answered prior to putting your money into anything, because that money could have been used somewhere else. So you need to be resourceful.
All right. Thank you so much for that. I think we are at the end, but this was such an amazing conversation, Brittany. So inspiring. And thank you again for being so vulnerable. There's so much that we can take away from this and learn from it. So thank you again.
Thank you so much for having me. This was awesome. I needed this.
You're welcome. And yeah, like, we're going to continue looking out for all of the amazing things that Shop Latinx continues to do.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And everyone, don't forget to claim your 50% if you're interested in taking the funding course. Feel free to reach out to us at pea@newschool.edu if you have questions. And Brittany, where can people follow you, follow your platform if they're not?
Yeah, you can follow me on my personal Instagram. It's at Chavez Brit, BRIT. And then follow us on social at Shop Latinx.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye, Brittany.